Hi, kid. Okay, what I was explaining to you, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the carburetor. You see I wrote down which carburetor I'm working on. The rear, the high, and the low. Those are the adjustment screws. So the high is going to be the one that's up higher on the carburetor, that one. And then the low is over on the opposite side, and it's lower on the carburetor. This one right here. Okay, so it's just high and low. That's it. Boom. So you just take a screwdriver. Boy, it's gonna be hard for me to do in film. You know, this is the important part. You don't want to screw this up. Okay, you kind of look and see where it's aiming right now, and then you go half, another half, oops, another half, so that's one, and then another half, so 1.5. Now it's probably going to stop here in a second. Okay, and 1/4. So 1 3/4 is the high. So the high is 1 3/4. Boom. And then I'm just gonna, now I'm gonna unscrew this and take it all the way out. But you might have, it might not be like that perfect to 1 3/4. It might be 1 I don't know, 5/16 or something. I mean, I usually go 3/4 and then 1/8, and then I add 1/8 or subtract 1/8 or whatever. So these come out. Voila. Set that aside. I'm gonna stop the video and then do the other side so I can send these. Now I'm gonna do the low, and same thing. This arm's in the way, but don't worry, don't take that off or anything. Don't worry about it. You want to take off as little as possible is what you want to do. So, oh my Lord, half. One. One 1/4. Maybe 1 1/4 plus 1/8. That was hard to do. 1 1/4 plus 1/8. That's just because I'm sloppy, but I think it was 1 1/4. But you want them to be accurate, so get it as close as possible on yours. Okay, now I'm going to take the low out. And you don't have to worry about mistaking which one's the high and which one's the low, because you can lay them next to each other because they're different sizes. You're going to see the low is going to be a lot smaller, I think. And I think the kit has these little tiny O-rings right here. I don't know if the kits don't come with these springs, but they come with the washer that goes on here, I think. I might be mistaken. Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. I don't have a kit. Okay, but the reason for the cardboard now is because I'm going to lay this on this side and this side, and this is where I'm going to use the impact screwdriver. And I don't want it when I hit. I mean, I guess it could be on a solid surface, but yeah, I guess you could put it on a solid surface. But if you don't have a piece of cardboard, but if you got a piece of cardboard and a hard surface, or if you're doing it on wood, but you're going to dent the wood if you do it there. So, anyways, I'm going to stop it and start it again. Okay, I'm going to get the correct bit out of the kit here. And it's obviously not the big fat one, it's going to be the smaller one. And then I just put this in here, and I usually set it in there, and I can't do it, I'm filming, so, and then oops. I want this to set in there nice and tight, nice and snug, so that seems kind of funny, but then I put this on. If you're using two hands, then you can kind of do it. And then I put this on top, and you just give it one, not so much a light tap, not so much a super hard tap, a medium tap. All right, let me see if I'm going to stop this and set the camera down, or restart. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to set this in there, make sure it's nice and snug in there, and then I'm just going to give it one. And then I'm going to take this screwdriver and let's see if they came loose. Yep, they're all finger tight now. See that one little just light tap. Actually, that was a pretty light tap I was doing. And now these are all super easy to get out. Sometimes these are, I mean, if you just try and do them, let's see, I'll try and do them without the, yeah, you'll strip them out. So it's so much easier just to use the impact. So I'll do the other side now real quick. I'm gonna shut this off. Okay, so now I'm gonna loosen the other side. And it's just one quick little hit on all four of them. I mean, I think it's crazy not to use one of these. And I'm going to use this on the internal ones too, okay? Let's see how loose they are. Now I'm using this screwdriver again. That one's a little snug, It loosened them, but they're still a little snug, but don't strip them out. Hit it again if you need to, but they all came off. Okay, so I'll take these all covers off now. And maybe I should try putting this on YouTube, just film the whole damn thing. Okay. It's pretty easy, kid. You're basically just taking it off and putting it back the exact same way you took it off. So when you take things off though, so I got all four of these screws. So now I'm going to pry, I'm taking this side off. Hopefully you can see that with the sunlight. I'm just going to pull this off. Oh yeah. It's actually stuck on there a little bit. Yours won't be. And this can only go back on one way, so it doesn't really matter. So then it's got, you can pull this old one off, old and crusty. So if you want to know how everything goes back on, let's lay that there and put the screws in. We'll leave this here for now. So I'm going to leave this laying on that so I know that that's exactly how it went in. So I don't go, oh, does it go this way or this way? So I leave that like that, okay? And now I got to take all these screws out. Here, I need to reverse the camera. Oh, shoot. Okay, so now I'm going to take all these out. I'm going to take this one, that little tiny one that holds this arm in. Okay, this is called the needle and seat right here, down inside here, and I'm going to pull that out too. And this is what you check. They always talk about the pop-off pressure, but you're not going to check the pop-off pressure. Now, if I told the guys down at the racers down at the bay that, they'd be like, well, you always got to check the pop-off pressure. I've done 30 of these and never checked the pop-off pressure, and they always work perfect. Now, I'm not saying that is guaranteed to happen, but I've had a 30-year factory trained mechanic tell me to do it this way. So let me get a razor blade, kid. Dang. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure this arm is flat across here. Okay? See how I'm laying a razor blade across there? And it's actually perfectly flat with the razor blade. I know it sounds funny, but that arm right here, and if you needed to, you could go under there and pry up on it and lift up on it a little bit in order to get it to be a flat surface. But you're just replacing what was there, so it should be fine. Okay? So you should just put it back on and it should be perfectly level. That with this surface, and this surface should be perfectly level across there. Okay? And that's a good way to check. It's, believe it or not, it works for, instead of checking the pop-off pressure, which takes a gauge and you got to figure out how to do it. So, okay, so now I'm going to try just the screwdriver, but these are the screws that you strip out. Yeah, so actually I'm going to use the impact on the, it almost seems like it won't fit, but it's in there. So I'm going to use the impact here, and I'm even going to use the impact on this little tiny one. Okay? I'm just going to, now these I might hit kind of lightly, but these suckers get it stuck in there. And if you strip them out, unfortunately, I forgot to tell you to order extra ones of them. But I won't strip them out. And I'm going to set the camera down because I don't think I can film and do this at the same time. Okay, this is nuts trying to film, kid. So I'm going to put this in there. Make sure, now here I'm going to make sure it's snug. I'm just going to do this one real quick. I normally would wait a second, but I'm just going to do it since I'm filming. That little tiny one. Oops. Man, these are... Now that one. So got that one. Let's see this little bitty one. Oh yeah, I got the little bitty one. It didn't get this. It didn't get this one, so I'm going to do it again. There. This thing is golden. And these screws, there's not duplicates anywhere, so I mean you're going to kind of figure out where they all go. You can, I mean, if you want, you can lay them down so that you know where they're at. You could even, I don't know, make a drawing around that or something. But so then I'm gonna take this one out, and that's got a spring on it too. So you take that little bitty screw, just don't lose these suckers, because I don't think they give you new ones in the kit. So there's that little bitty one. I'll set that over there. And then, I don't know if you can see, this arm goes underneath the needle. It's called the needle and seat. So it goes under the fuel. This is where the fuel goes through. Like if this is bad and it gets stuck open, it can destroy your motor too. So anyways, so yeah, I'm gonna pull that out, and then this little arm is free floating in there, which you're gonna replace both of these, the arm, and then now keep this spring, because sometimes I reuse this spring, believe it or not. So I'm gonna leave that, even though they give you another one. I think I've only had to reuse it a few times. And then I'm gonna pull the seat out. Okay. And I'll tell you what, how you'll know if you need to replace these. Then unfortunately you're gonna have to go back to the shop. And then to get this out, there's another screw, another little tiny screw right there. I don't know if this fits down in there. It does. I'm actually gonna use it. And that just holds the seat in there. And then you take a pair of needle nose pliers and you're gonna pull that out. That screw is already kind of screwed up, the head of it. I can see it from here. Darn it. This is a big old, so I'm gonna, let's see if that worked. Now I'm gonna use this Japanese screwdriver again. Yeah, it worked. And that's a little bitty screw. So I'm gonna dump it. I gotta get some needle nose pliers. Yeah, I can probably get it. I hope I told you to get a small set of needle nose pliers. But you can see that's a little bitty thing. But make sure this one has a washer on it. The last one didn't. So these are kind of different. So you know what I'll do? I'll pull the arm out too, and I'll put these together. Okay. And then let me see if I can. So this just fell out of here. And then here's that little check valve that I was telling you about right here. Now if this screw doesn't come out, it should, but if it doesn't, you're just gonna leave that check valve. But that check valve is a little thin piece of plastic, okay? And then you pull these gaskets out. And then these are the jets. And this is, I told you get the cheap, I got you some cheap screwdrivers, and it's to remove these. It's to remove this. You might need a tiny screwdriver, darn, to remove that sucker. The big one, the big jet is that one's, and these are just in there tight. They're not set anyway. Looks like I shut my video off. Okay, I'm gonna take out this big jet. And you're gonna clean these out. I mean, it may not look like it, but there could be debris in there. And even though it looks like it's clean, there might be debris. And this is what you're gonna use. You're gonna use this little kit to clean out that hole, okay? To gently do it. It doesn't seem like you're doing much, but there might be something down in there. And then you're going to use some carb spray on it too. So you're going to spray it with carb spray, and then, gosh, this is a learning experience with the, you get the point. You're going to clear out that little tiny hole. And then you're also going to clear out, you're going to spray, once you get this all apart, you're going to spray all down in these holes, and wear your goggles because you'll spray in these holes and it'll come shooting back in your face, okay? So you're going to spray the carb clean all around here, and you're going to also use a razor blade to clean up any of this stuff in here. Like, just go along and clean it up. This one looks pretty clean, but you still want it to be perfect. Like, well, you want it to be clean. And then you're going to take this jet out too. I don't have the screwdriver with me right now, so I may not even film that. So I'm going to set this jet on the side. And then let me go back to the needle and seat. So the needle is right here, and it goes in that seat again. And the way you check and see if these are bad is you take your fingernail and you run your finger along the side of the point here. And if there's any kind of ridge, and I mean 1/1000th of a bump, then you may need to replace it. This one actually feels pretty smooth. I'm sure yours are fine. I'm sure he replaced them last time, so every couple times is fine. Yeah, and I don't see a ridge on this one. Actually, maybe, oops. But there'll actually be a little ridge. Come on, focus. There, now you can see it. There you go. So you can see I don't think there's a ridge on that. But you'll run your fingernail along it. And if there's no ridge, then you're just going to reuse these. Okay. And then let me see if I can use a screwdriver to get this out. You don't want to damage this, but I'll go get some pliers. Okay, I got some wimpy needle nose pliers. You can actually use the heavy duty ones. The big ones are actually fine as long as the one side fits down this hole. And I already pulled it out before I started the camera, but because it worked. But sometimes it's stuck in there pretty good. But so you pull that out. And you got that out. Boom. And there should be an O-ring. I think there's an O-ring in the kit for that O-ring right there. I'm pretty certain there's one in the kit. So you're going to clean this. This is pretty dirty. So you're going to clean this sucker all up. And I'm almost positive there's an O-ring in that kit. Set that aside. All right, now this is all taken apart on this side. So now we're going to flop it to the other side. Just make sure you don't knock all the little pieces on the dirt. So now we'll do this side. If I put this on YouTube, this is going to be Hillbilly's YouTube carburetor rebuilding. One-handed carburetor rebuilding. You can see all these screws are, they're not going to, they only go back in one place, so you don't need to worry about any of that stuff. So, but this side, when you take this side apart, oh, I still got to take that off, I forgot. But when you take this side apart, let's so you don't worry. Let's I don't know, can you, yeah, theoretically you could put it back on the wrong way. It's actually got a dip. No, it's got that. Yeah, so you can't. Yeah, I forgot about that. So it only goes back one way. But let's still pull it off. We're going to set it right here. And now you got to get this off. So this is what you're going to need the razor blade for. Right here. Getting this sucker off, and then you got to get all the remnants off too. Okay? Because you're going to replace all these pieces. You're going to replace the plastic here, and then the gasket that goes over the top of it. And then you're going to replace these. Come on now. Yours will probably fall right out. Yours will probably be nice. But then these are the difficult little boogers. Now you want to try and not damage them. Oh, these are rock hard. But yours are going to be soft. And that's what this tool is for. It's actually for putting it back on. Oh, I got to stop the camera. Okay, so this tool is used to put these on. But now, this is that on the back side. Here, let me pull this off. Oh, another one where you're gonna need the razor blade. You might not need the razor blade. Hopefully you don't. But this one doesn't take that long. I think it's this one that could take like an hour of scraping the old razor blade off. And then let's see. Darn, I'm not going to be able to show you. But when you put these back on, if you press down in here on the new ones, you could press right through this, because this looks just like this on the other side. And when you're putting it on, you're going to use a tiny bit of this grease. Okay, that's why I got you this grease. You're going to use just a dab of this grease. Like I put a little bit. Boom. And when I say a dab, I mean you're using just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit of grease, and you're going to put it on that, and you're going to kind of work it around on the edge. The reason I'm kind of telling you what to do is because I don't think I'm going to take these off and do this right now. But you've got I've got one right here that's out. So here's one from another carburetor. Okay, so number one, you got to get this little black thing through this plastic. Oh, and by the way, this plastic, it matters which direction you have it. So it matters whether it's like this or like this. And it'll have a little red strip on it, like a red painted strip on it. And that painted strip needs to be, I think, up. And you'll feel it with your fingernail. And it is ever so slightly of a stripe. And you have the red stripe up, so that and that's the beveled side, because this is actually going to be, the new ones are beveled. Okay, so they do have to go a certain direction. They can't just go either way. All right, and then you put a little, here, let me show you. You put just a tiny bit of grease on this sucker. You don't want a bunch, because it's hard to get back through this hole. It's a booger, man. So I put a tiny bit of grease, just a dab of grease. Oh, and plus you don't want grease on this check valve. So, I mean, that's too much grease. I'm gonna get some of that off. You just want a tiny bit of grease, and then what you do is I put it on there, and then I think I put this, you put the clear thing down, and then you work the rubber piece through it and get it to pop all the way through. And then you need to look at it on the back side and make sure that it came through all the way around, okay? Make sure that there's no part of this little rubber that's tucked up on the other side still, okay? So you gotta make sure that it popped all the way through, and then you can sit here. The way to check is you make sure you can turn it, okay? You kind of wiggle it back and forth, all right? And that way you know it's all the way through. Because sometimes it'll get hung up on the back side and won't be all the way through, and then it won't turn if that's the case. Okay, so then you just replace all these gaskets and clean all this stuff up. Use the carburetor spray, and then this comes off. I'm getting tired of doing this one-handed. And then here's the fuel filter, and you get a new fuel filter in the kit. This one doesn't look too bad. And then you pull these off. So you pull the fuel filter off, set it aside, pull all these gaskets off, because these are all in the kit. You're going to replace all these. And then you're just going to clean it all up really well. You just use the carb spray and clean the whole thing. Clean down in here. Clean all the holes. Clean everything up with wire brushes. Not real rough wire brushes. And don't booger this surface. You're not going to take any of these off. You're not doing anything there. You're not doing anything up top. And then so just spray it all out. Spray all the holes out. One last thing. When I put this gasket back on right here, or this, it's not a gasket. It's a it's the fuel pump over here. But this one right here, I take a tiny bit of the grease, just a tiny bit, put it on both sides of my fingers, and I put just a tiny little bit of grease on. I rub it all around this on the new one, and there's just a tiny bit on there, and then I put that back on. Okay, so there'll be just a little bit of, just a light layer of grease. Okay, and that's it. And you don't need any grease anywhere else. So it's really the grease, that $20 grease, was for that little bit of grease on this, and on the on these things right here, on these check valves. Okay. Oh Lord. And I'm gonna try and get that one off real quick. I'm gonna try and use the impact, and then I can't do it with the camera running though. Let me try. Yeah, this is too big. It ain't gonna fly. You may not even have a screwdriver for this size. And it's a booger because it gets stuck. So if that strips out, don't worry about it. You're just gonna leave that check valve. You want to replace it, but worst case, you're going to leave it. But you do want to try and replace it, okay? And that sucker is tiny. It goes from there to over here, and that's inside that kit. And it's just a little tiny thin piece of plastic. Let me reiterate one thing. So this is basically the fuel pump. What you're looking at here is this is the fuel pump, and these are part of the fuel pump. And I'm pretty ignorant on exactly how it works, and I should go watch a video so I know exactly how the fuel pump works. But basically, these are part of the fuel pump. I don't know what they call them, diaphragm fuel pumps or something. So these are the parts that go bad, actually. Okay. What else did I? Okay, one other thing I forgot to tell you. So this carburetor here is a 38 millimeter. And the way you tell if it's a 38 or a 44 millimeter is a 38 only has 3 holes on top and is a triangle. And a 44, I got the paper out. And a 44 millimeter, which is yours, has a square top. See the square top versus, the square top on the side there, and then on the side there is the triangle. Okay, it's turned sideways on the diagram. So this is a 38 millimeter, yours is a 44. Now, so when you pull it off, it's important that you know on this side exactly how many gaskets were there and what came off of it, because this one may be different. It may have, I forget if the 38 has extra gaskets or less, but they may be a little bit different. But remember, I told you that the other 44 I had was rebuilt identical to a 38. So just when you pull this stuff off, just kind of make sure you know exactly what came off, and you got to clean all that up. And then this one's not coming off. I need a razor blade to do that. So it takes a while to get all that stuff off with a razor blade. Okay. You know what, kid? I already know what the difference is. This one just has plastic, and then this rubber. You're gonna have a paper one. You're actually gonna have a paper one on one of these sides for the 44 millimeters, and that's the one that's a bitch to get off. So hopefully it's not a bitch on yours, but if it is, you're the one. 44 millimeter has the paper gasket that's inside here. And that's the one that's sometimes really difficult to get off and takes like an hour of scraping with a razor blade.